Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Merry Mindfulness. I'm your host, Paul from Word Gets Around. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. To say 2020 has had its challenges would certainly be an understatement. It's affected us all and so much more, or many more than others. There's further good news this week with the vaccine, which has started to be rolled out to those that are most vulnerable first. So, Merry Mindfulness is a collaboration with our good friend Teresa Wort. Teresa's a qualified mindfulness and compassion teacher based here in Somerset. She also helps people with anxiety, stress, and chronic pain. So this year, we've all kind of been a bit all over the place, really, haven't we? And often we're so busy living in the past or worrying about the future, we actually miss living in the here and now. So this is why Merry Mindfulness is here for you. It's a time for you to pause, reflect, and learn some new techniques. Taking some time for you and for those that you love. So please feel free to add your comments or questions. There'll be about half an hour today, which will include a meditation at the end to set you up for your afternoon. So I'm delighted to welcome Teresa, who should be there. Hello, Teresa.
Hello, Paul.
You're
Here we
right.
are again.
A week's
Yes,
flown
thank you. Yeah,
by.
very well. Thank you. A week has flown by. Absolutely. Yes.
So you've been quite busy, obviously on Facebook and sharing. You'll just briefly mention your Advent calendar that you're doing each day.
Oh, yeah, the Advent calendar. Yes. It's only a few more days to go. Well, no, actually, a couple of weeks, I believe. But every day I've been posting. So I've been talking about your breath and your senses. And then I'm going to move on to other bits because obviously mindfulness and compassion is quite a big topic. You know, when I teach somebody, it's usually over a course of, 6 weeks of hour and a half a session. And there's meditation in it as well. You know, that's another part.
Yeah.
So giving everybody just a little mindful moment every day as an Advent calendar is yeah, hopefully helping them to be aware that they even breathe and then use all their senses. And then joining you like last week and joining you today has been really exciting. But I've got a little story I'm going to read you today.
Excellent.
I recall I read it to you some time ago and you liked it. So
Yes.
I'm now to my intelligent look with my Jackanory chair. And if you're all sitting comfortably, this is a little story. It's called The Tree That Would Not Let Go of His Leaves. It's a short story by a guy called Will Newitt. Ollie was a little oak tree. He lived in the middle of a big forest with lots of woodland animals and flowers. Ollie was happy being an oak tree until one autumn. As the sun rose later in the sky and the air began to cool, Ollie noticed that his wobbly green leaves were turning beautiful shades of orange and yellow and red. Ollie liked this very much and he stood tall and proud. For a few months, all the trees in the forest blazed their fiery autumnal colours. It was a time of great joy as children laughed and played and the animals busied themselves collecting food for winter. But then, as the winds blew stronger from the north, Ollie saw that the trees around him were starting to lose their leaves. At first, just the occasional leaf floated gently to the ground, but gradually more and more turned and tumbled down. Ollie was very worried by what he saw. He certainly did not want to lose his colourful coat, so he held on tightly to every leaf on every branch. The other trees noticed what was happening and laughed. "Oh, Ollie," they cried, "you are an oak tree. You have to let go of your leaves." But Ollie would not let go. The frosty nights of winter crept slowly in. By now, news of the tree that would not let go of its leaves had spread far and wide, and many people came to gaze and wonder at such a strange sight. But Ollie would still not let go. Months passed, and the first delicate flowers pushed through the hard earth and whispered of spring. A sweet, warm wind danced through the forest, and the birds sang with joy. But by now, Ollie's leaves were brown and rotten, and his branches bowed low with the strain. As he peered around, he noticed that the trees around him were starting to change. On the tips of their bare branches were shiny little buds. And from those shiny little buds, tiny green leaves were starting to unfold. Slowly at first, but gathering pace as the sun became warmer. As the trees stirred from their silent sleep, they were surprised to see Ollie looking so sorry for himself. Can't you see that spring is here, and now our nature is to grow fresh new leaves, they whispered. We'll drink in the same sunshine all summer long, and then, when autumn comes, we will let go of our leaves in order to nourish the earth and make way for next year's growth. We do so with open hearts because we know that we can never truly hold on to anything. Suddenly, Ollie understood. In a moment, he saw that sometimes you must let go of something in order to grow stronger. And in a big brown cloud, his leaves tumbled happily to the ground. Thank you, called the bare forest floor beneath Ollie. In time, these leaves will turn into earth, and your big roots will absorb their goodness. By letting go, you will truly become a wiser and wonderful tree. A gentle murmur spread through the forest as the other trees swayed in agreement. And as for Ollie, well, he spread his branches to the sun and stood taller than ever. There
Yay!
you go. Jack and Ori for today.
Yeah, no, I love that. Love that story when you first told, read it to me because and it's so apt of how a lot of people are right now, isn't it? And people
Yeah,
having to make changes, having to let go, having to do things differently that may be scary, isn't it? Scary things that people have had to embrace this year, particularly.
yeah, change is scary. It's exciting and scary. It's something that we do have to embrace, but you have to have that adjustment of letting go. Many things upset us. And I think what mindfulness teaches you, it teaches you choice. So it teaches you when something upsets you, you can have that feeling, but you can have the choice how much emotion you bring to it. So therefore, to give you just a little snippet, my lovely Stephen, so husband, wife, and as all ladies and husbands will understand, there's sometimes when you have words and you're a bit cross and angry and upset. So, it's far better to go and say than to keep that inside. So Stephen's used to me. I'll pop along. He's in his study and I'll go in and I'll say, well, I just want to say, and I'll have my little say, and then it's gone, it's finished. But you've let it out. Whereas so many people keep it in, and then that builds up, and then it gets blown out of proportion. And this is then contributes to our thoughts. Our thoughts is such a huge topic, and I want to try and keep it brief today. But our thoughts, we have them. You had them last week. Do you remember? You'd had a phone call from a client and your thoughts were going, oh gosh, why is he ringing? I've got to ring. And you were pacing up and down. And in the end, you did the greatest thing, which was you went outside, took in some fresh air, a few deep breaths, which stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system. So the calm and digest and rest, and stop that amygdala getting carried away with the fight, flight, and freeze. But our thoughts, we have anything from 12,000 to 60,000 a day. And a huge part of those, sorry to be the bringer of bad news, 80% are negative. And the really sad thing is 95% of them will repeat again tomorrow. So in mindfulness, you are taught it's not about making your mind go blank. So people say, oh yeah, when you meditate, oh, do you go blank? No, you don't. You're not looking to stop thoughts. Thoughts are natural, that they're there. That's what's part of us. There's an awful lot of good that comes from thoughts. Hey, we wouldn't be flying in the sky, going to the moon and driving nice cars and living in nice warm homes if someone didn't have that thought and followed it through. But they also can be very negative. So you need to learn that you don't have to get involved in them, that they're not facts, they're not truth. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You don't have to jump in. So it's a case of recognizing these thoughts. I mean, it's a grey day today, but there's still movement up there with clouds. But if you think on a day in the summer when we all lay on the lawn and you watch and it's a blue sky and there's clouds drifting across, and we love to sit there and see animals and see things. I bet you see squirrels going by. But anyway, you look up, and that is how your thoughts are. If you can just sit back and realize that they come and they go and they change all the time. And you don't need to make that choice, because what happens is we jump in and then we can be really in it and decide it's for the truth. And we get totally carried away. And before we know what, we're miserable and we've catastrophized things. And actually, that phone call you made to him was him saying, hey, guess what, Paul? I've got some more work I want you to do. And then you go, I wasn't expecting that. So you've used all that energy, all that negativity on deciding that you've got caught up in a thought, when all that you could have done is be prepared. And that's like, be prepared what you can control. You can control that you understand the product, you understand what you've given him, you understand what you can do for him, but you can now only wait to see what that phone call is about. And that's tough to do sometimes. We do want to get carried away.
Yeah, I think as humans we all struggle with that, and I think I was telling you before. I talked to my youngest daughter, and she's worried about the little things that I was worried about back then. Because we know that they're not as bad as they seem, but we've all got, as you grow up, it changes, doesn't it? Some of the things that you're worried about and you're anxious about, but it's how you channel that. And I wanted to mention, I've consciously worn a particular T-shirt today. I wanted to share with you, right? So, as you know, my favorite band is the Stereophonics. Right. Now, their latest album is called Kind, and this is the album cover. And if you can see that, it's actually a
Oh,
tree.
wow.
It's actually a tree that's let go, and the roots at the bottom is what's held strong. And it's got
Right.
and actually it's got a bench here. Now, one of the lots of the underlying themes of the album are about being conscious of what's important and reevaluating things. And
Yeah.
one of the songs on the latest on the tour is called "Don't Let the Devil Take Another Day." So
Ah,
it's about that some of the things in there are about not having control and not letting the devil take over in some
yeah.
of your thoughts and processes. And it made me, I looked at it, I thought about it a week ago when we spoke. And then this morning, I was getting ready and I was moving some bits about, and I had to just happened to put the t-shirt up, and it reminded me, and I was like, yes, we're talking about that today, because the tree, the painting is actually done by his daughter, the lead singer. But yeah, the themes are about putting things in perspective,
Yeah.
and not going down this way when you could go the other. So I thought
Yeah.
I'd share
And
that.
it's also understanding that we do have a negative bias.
Yeah.
It's how we've developed. If our brain wasn't negative, if our brain wasn't on the alert for the bad, we would never have survived. We wouldn't be here now. So if you go back to the caveman, it was a case of survive or be eaten. So that's why there's this constant negative. We are looking for it all the time. And then this is when we come to the neuroplasticity. It's something, again, that we speak about on a course, is that you have pathways. So if you tend to really get negative and tied down with negative thoughts, then you become better at that thing. Does that make sense? So your brain goes round and round that same path. So if you can get it to step off and not go down that path, and sometimes it helps just to name it. So yeah, that's a worry thought. Yes, I know I will be taking the car for service tomorrow. I don't need you to keep reminding me. If you can just They say if you can name it, you can tame it. If you can just recognize it's a worry thought, but it is the natural part of us, which this is where I feel it should be taught at school, just for them to understand how our brain works. Because when you've learned that, it helps tremendously. And then through your meditation practice, through sitting and not getting engaged with thoughts, we are learning to focus, and therefore our concentration and paying attention, which is why it's so good for you if you work. If you're in business and you get up every day and do your half-hour meditation and then go to work, I promise you, you will be a far better, more resilient, more concentrated, more focused person than if you didn't. If you if you just allowed yourself to get caught up in the worries that we do every day, because that's what we do. We look back and we worry about what we should have said. I should have said this, I should have said that. So it's full of regrets. And then we worry about the future, but what of this and what of that? Whereas if we can learn to just focus and be here and now and present, then what we are doing, we bring everything to it and do a far better job. I just love it. I could just talk all day. How long have we got? But
Yeah.
it's understanding,
And
and I think once you understand that, it helps.
there's some nice comments, Teresa, from last week. So Bethan's mentioned that the breathing and focusing that we covered last week, that she actually helped her daughter prepare. He was a little bit anxious about piano lesson, and really helped her to become a new technique that she could use. And particularly
Yeah.
with obviously the pressures of particularly teenagers these days with social media, and I guess
Oh,
without getting too much into it, but like a lot of the stuff that's put on social media, there's no tone of voice. So if somebody's put something on there like, "What the heck are you on about?" It might be in jest, it might be a bit of fun, but then, like you said, it's that side of you then that you sort of think, "Oh God, have I upset them? Have I done this?" And
oh yeah.
yeah,
Oh, totally. I mean, you think of any event, without going into too much detail, even because I'm human, it still happens. I don't know if you can recall, we were in an event last week and someone said something and she meant it in fun. But I went away that evening thinking, is that right? Is that what she said? Is that really? And I kept saying to myself, let it go, Teresa, because the rest of the evening was brilliant and she was just being funny. But obviously, I was sensitive and emotional, and I took it and thought, oh, blimey, what does she mean by that? And you do, and you get carried away. And in that moment, um, you have, so you react and you have response. And what mindfulness teaches you is there is space between in how you respond and how you react. And when you can take that space, then your choice comes up, how you respond. Whereas an awful lot of we do is habitual. A reaction happens, we respond, and it's done quite unconsciously. Something happens, you spark off. Whereas when you start to learn that something happens, ooh, breathe, I have choice, and then responds. And going back to what Bethan said, I mean, it's brilliant what they're doing with children now. Many of them will do mindfulness, will do a meditation before they even start their exams, just to get them grounded, get them here and now and present, than worrying about what might happen or not happen. Yeah.
excellent. So we're gonna do a meditation now to get us prepped for the afternoon.
We are, yeah, because Paul and I were very aware. I mean, everybody who knows me knows I talk too much. And last week, we do apologize. We went on for far too long. So our goal today is by 1 o'clock, we will have finished, okay? But something I want you to do is just to get a taste of a meditation. And I feel this is so appropriate because hopefully you've been munching your lunch while listening to us. And now you're thinking, oh gosh, 1 o'clock, I've got a meeting to go into. Oh no, I've got a Zoom meeting to go into. Or you've got something you've got to get your head down and do properly. So we're going to do a little meditation. So as you can see, I'm shuffling now and getting myself that. So when we meditate, we get ourselves into what we call a dignified posture. So we're wanting to be alert but comfortable. So I don't want you feeling that you're not comfortable. And then something else you might like to do, I have a cushion. See my little hair? Yeah, right, okay. So I put it on my lap. And when you do that, that allows your shoulders to drop, your elbows to drop, and your hands are on your lap. And possibly if you're sat in work, you can't do this, but it's just giving you thoughts for another time. And so you're sat up, you're dignified, your chest is open, and if you're able to, depends where you are, please don't be doing this if you're driving, but gently close your eyes. We close our eyes because we're distracted. When we can see, we're distracted. If you don't feel comfortable to do that, then just let your gaze go down the brow of your nose so that you aren't distracted there either. And I'm not going to leave anybody hanging around. I will tell you when we've finished. So you're now sat. And when we do a formal meditation practice, we don't alter our breathing. Because don't forget, mindfulness is the experience of here and now. And it's done non-judgmentally. That's a topic we need to speak of maybe next week. So we're not there to judge, is this a good breath? Is this a bad breath? Am I doing this right? It is what it is. You're here. You're sat. So I just want you to bring your awareness to your breath. I want you to shift your awareness down to your tummy and feeling your breath in your tummy. And aware of your bottom on your seat, being supported, your thighs, an awareness of your knees, your calves, shins, awareness of your ankles, and feeling your feet grounded on the floor. And take your awareness to your toes. No need to wriggle them, just see if you can be aware of them. Maybe you're aware of your socks or your shoes. Just sensing into our feet, just being aware. Are they cool or warm? Now shift your awareness to your ankles, back to your calves, your knees, your thighs. Maybe you're aware of your clothes, touching your skin. Back to your tummy, the rise and fall. Or maybe you can't feel anything at all, and that's okay. And if your mind's wandered, with kindness, just bring it back to the awareness of your breath. Aware of the back, your spine, going up to your shoulders, your arms, your elbows, your forearms, your hands, an awareness of your fingers, an awareness of the whole of your arms, bringing your awareness back to the top of your shoulders, aware of your chest. Maybe you have a sense of your breathing here. Gentle breath, always with you. An awareness of your neck. Maybe you can feel your hair, the top of your head, your forehead, your eyes, your cheeks, your nostrils. Maybe you're even aware of the cool air going in your nose and the warm air coming out. And then shifting your awareness back down to your shoulders, your chest, your tummy. Now expand that breathing, feeling your whole body is breathing. Time only allowed us today to do just a short practice. But in your own time, when you're ready, just gently open your eyes. And by all means, have a little stretch. So how did that feel then, Paul?
Very good. Yeah, I feel very calm, relaxed, focused. Yeah, good.
Good. The relaxed bit is a side effect. You know, it's not something that we're trying to achieve in a meditation practice. We're not trying to achieve anything. It's a journey. There's no destination. You know, you are there and present, and it's just being in touch with your body and aware of what's going on. And when we're more in touch with our body, then we're aware of emotions before they even arrive. It's brilliant. And obviously with pain, that's where it helps, because with the meditation practice, you learn to breathe into the pain and be able to measure the pain. You know, I know exactly where it starts, where it's happening, and where it ends. But there you go, it's 1 o'clock. They'll be
Brilliant.
so impressed they might come back next week, Paul.
Excellent. So next week, Teresa, what are we looking at next week? Next Wednesday?
Well, next week, I think, especially with the run up now to Christmas, I think we need to talk about the doing and the being mode, okay? Because we are humans, human beings, but we spend an awful lot of our time in the doing mode. So we're going to talk about that, if that sounds good. But if anyone's got any suggestions, anything that they want to ask, then do, you know, drop me an email, drop you an email, send us whatever, and we will respond. But thank you so much, Paul, for doing this. It's, you know, it's been an absolute pleasure, and really do appreciate. And I appreciate whoever's been with us as well. And I hope they've enjoyed.
Been very, very useful, and you're really useful techniques, which I'm already using, which is, you know, helping me a lot, and lots of people watching, I'm sure, and passing on as well, which is, you know, it's important to pass on to those around us as well. So, like you said, if anyone's got any questions, you can like your Facebook page, write any comments on there, and follow the bits that you're posting each day.
Yeah.
So I'll look forward to catching up with you next Wednesday, 12:30.
Yeah,
If
brilliant.
anybody that's watching, say please feel free to invite people to join us next week. Have a good week, and we'll see you soon. All right, Teresa,
Super.
see you soon.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye-bye.
bye, bye.